Hi, welcome to Stroke Buddy's fourth support group meeting. We do this every Tuesday. You and any survivors, caregivers, anyone who's interested are welcome to join us. We try and talk about relevant topics. We're interested in what you consider to be relevant topics so that we can do a better job. And This week I asked for a couple of topics, and what did I get back? There was some interest in talking about food and diet. Boy, that can be a can of worms because there's about a million different opinions on that. And you can get into the whole medical thing and supplements, but I won't bring any negativity to it. The other one was about shoulders. Of course, if we're going to talk about shoulders, I'd like to have a friend of mine who's an occupational therapist join us and talk about shoulders, but that's not happening today. We can talk a little bit about shoulders. I'm afraid, though, it's going to be, unless there are other people here with experience, I'm afraid it'll be me talking about shoulders. I rehabilitated mine. It was the most difficult part of my recovery. I was walking pretty good in 3 to 6 months. It took me well over a year to get my shoulder back. So I have a little bit of experience, but I try and make this not all about me. So with that said, I'll ask if people are interested in talking about shoulders or diet or something else. Ready, set, go. Anybody? Hey, Chris, welcome back.
Oh, thanks. I had to
Okay,
switch
we
to
can hear you now.
Yeah.
All right. I never did hear Kelly or Jill. Um,
Well, I'm sorry, I can volunteer that a fellow stroke survivor, though his stroke was like 16 years ago, advised me to add flaxseed to my diet. He said he heard that's the single best thing. So my daughter went to a health food store for me and got some raw flaxseed, I think it was Sprouts or our store like Sprouts that carries it. And I have been adding it to my lunch every other day. It's supposed to have everything you need, flaxseed, and it doesn't have a bad taste. That's it for me with food as far as strokes go.
well, flaxseed's known to be, it contains a lot of good stuff. I don't know specifically if it's got anything that's stroke related. A lot of people are big believers in things like salmon and fish. I guess they feel like fish oil or CoQ10 or whatever.
Right.
Fish is known to be brain food, so I know a lot of people that eat a lot of salmon. Uh,
I think
can't
they've all
hurt.
got omega-3.
Hmm?
I think they've all got omega-3, which
They've
is
all got omega
Right,
3.
right. Of course, you have to be careful about. I'm not sure. I don't think eating salmon, but if you take fish oil or CoQ10 and you're on blood thinners, you need to talk to your doctor because they are natural blood thinners, and you can end up with too much blood thinning. Same is also true of turmeric, which a lot of people believe in.
Oh,
Flax,
turmeric
Take
is a blood
turmeric.
thinner. I take turmeric too, in a pill. Well, the
well,
powdered turmeric.
turmeric's
I
one
put it on my food every night.
you
I
put,
just sprinkle
For
it
you.
on there.
it's
Good
okay.
idea.
I mean, um, you just need to check with your doctor if you're on blood thinners. That's all. Um, they're natural things. Of course, the point of having a stroke diet would be to eat things that were good for, not just good for you, but might aid in your recovery. Um, I think that a lot of people who have strokes, just from my talking to them and my experience, that well, you'll find a number of people that weren't managing their diabetes or they end up having, or they were drinking 10 energy drinks a day or smoking cigarettes, and that's not diet. But it seems like there are a lot of folks that have strokes from not doing what the basics of what they should do. So if you have a stroke and you weren't eating well, the first thing that you can do is just get to, some basics. Hydrate enough. Try and cut out polyunsaturated fats and junk foods, processed foods, um, any of that kind of stuff. Um, I've been a vegetarian and I've eaten well for 50 years. I still had a stroke after about 40 of them. Um, so it's not like guaranteed or anything. Um, if I was to talk about uh, diet, I would encourage people who aren't eating well to, drop sugar, drop the sodas, get on a Mediterranean diet, eat more plant-based.
Yeah.
Fish is good. If supplements opens up a whole big can of worms. I've always taken your basic vitamins as supplements. One of the things I take and doesn't help, I mean, it helps but doesn't solve the problem is I take magnesium. It'll help with the jumpy leg stuff.
Oh,
If you have restless leg syndrome, they'll tell you to take potassium, but it's actually magnesium you want to take. Potassium
Yeah.
won't
thank you, thank you.
won't hurt you.
What
Does it get rid
does
of
it
one?
help? Does it help you, Ralph? The magnesium? Can you feel a difference? I mean, and do you take it in a pill? Do
Yeah,
you
I
take
take
like
it
a
in
pill
pill,
supplement?
and I feel a slight difference. I used to have real bad jumpy legs at night. The first year, I mean, they would like uh, keep me awake. And I don't have that now, but I definitely notice that when I go to sleep, I notice it. Once I'm asleep, I don't really have a problem with it. Of course, I lay on my affected side, so I'm laying on that leg. That seems to help it more than having that leg up on top where it's free to jump around and pin it down, I suppose. Another strategy. But yeah, magnesium helps. So basically, in supplements, I take a probiotic. Um, I'm a believer in probiotics. I don't know how many of you know this, but there's actually a connection between your gut genome and serotonin production, possibly your happiness. So having a good gut genome promotes good mental health as well. That's something that a lot of people don't know. So I take a probiotic, but other than that, I'm basically taking, multivitamin C, D, a B complex. When I went to see my neurologist, he said, "What vitamins?" He said, "What medications?" I gave him medications. "What vitamins?" And when I got done, he looked at me like, "And why are you not taking the most important one?" And I said, "What would that be?" And he said, "A B complex for your brain."
Oh, so he said B complex. That's good to know.
A lot of people take B12, and if you look at
I take that.
B12, my B12 said that one pill contained 87,000% of what you're supposed to take. Now, I don't think it never did me any harm, but that's kind of an astounding number. So I stopped taking like a B12, and I get plenty of B12 in the B complex. It's got B6 and riboflavin and the whole B complex. Here's the thing: if you can afford, vitamins, if you take more than you need, they're most of them can't get you in any trouble. Mostly, if you take more than you need, you're just gonna pee them out. So,
Yep.
so, um, so I try and eat some fish because I'm a vegetarian. Not so much for brain food. I, have to be a little concerned about protein. If you stop eating meat and you eat more plant-based, I'm careful to make sure that I'm eating things like rice, beans, cheese, things that have protein in them, so that I don't, so I get enough protein.
I thought you're not supposed to eat cheese.
Me?
Well, stroke people.
Like I said, this I've never heard that. I'd be in a world of trouble without cheese as a vegetarian. Um, why would you not eat cheese?
That's what the doctors told me, not to eat cheese.
Okay, I'm just wondering why. I mean, I don't doubt that he told you that. I just one of those people that has to understand everything. Sorry about that.
It could be just saturated fats. I'm not sure.
Well, see, I don't eat junk food. I don't eat processed food. I don't eat potato chips. I don't eat hydrogenated oils. I use olive oil, so I'm not real worried about.
Mm.
I also weigh my ideal weight. I can eat, Well, I've been going through some personal issues, and I dropped a bunch of weight. I've been eating everything I can stuff in myself to keep my weight, up. Um, I'm lucky to have a pretty fast. I've always had a high metabolism. When I worked construction, I had to eat 4 or 5 meals a day, or I'd just wither away, both energy-wise and weight-wise. So, but that's about me. I don't know about cheese. I'll have to look into that. Like I said, I'm one of those people that likes to know, so I'll be looking it up.
Please.
Like everything, it's
Magnesium.
moderation, I suppose.
What's that, Chris?
I was just saying, like everything, anything in moderation is the key, I think.
Right. That's the way I've always lived. I've said everything in moderation, or I've said when I'm joking, I say I take care of myself in a lot of ways so I can abuse myself in the few I choose. I'll have a glass of wine. I've been dreaming about a margarita for a year in the pandemic, and I went out and had one on my stroke anniversary. It didn't work out quite the way I wanted because the Mexican restaurants where they have an organic margarita was closed for Easter, as were all the Mexican restaurants.
Right.
So I didn't plan on that. But you know what? It's like anything in life or recovery or anything. I said, I'm dressed up. I'm out in the car. I got money in my pocket. I'm not going home. I'm going to have dinner out and get a margarita. And so I did.
Way to go.
So, I mean, that brings up the whole thing about, should you be drinking after you had a stroke? Like I said, I knew if we talked about food, we'd get into a bunch of medical stuff. Doctors will tell you, I see this asked a lot in all the stroke groups. Here's what doctors will tell you. They'll tell you that men can have 2 drinks a day and women can have 1. I don't understand, since women weigh 3/4 of what men do, why they can't have 1.5. But I'm, one of those guys that does the math too when I'm trying to figure out everything. So, is that a good idea? I don't know. Also had people in some of my groups where I had one guy who'd like drink to excess and then post about it in the group. I wasn't quite sure what to do about that because I kind of felt he was promoting bad behavior, but the groups are supposed to be open forums. I didn't drink for a long time. I went through the whole stroke shock, oh my God, it could happen again thing, and I suppose I eased back into it. I don't drink a lot, so it's not an issue for me. If I want to have a glass of wine with dinner, I just do it. So all things in moderation. Back to what Dave said. Okay. Anybody else? So I don't have to talk.
How many milligrams of magnesium do you take?
I would have to go look, but I think I don't know. It's Costco magnesium citrate. There are multiple kinds of magnesium, and citrate's the most absorbable. Magnesium sulfate, I think, is the standard one, and it's less absorbable and cheaper, of course. So, I I'm a big Costco fan, just because they have good vitamin prices and they have everything, and I'm there buying all my darn cheese. Last time I went to Costco, I think I had like 7 pounds of cheese. I only go every couple of months, and it keeps a while, but I had a lot of cheese. Welcome back, Kelly. Okay, she can hear us, but we can't hear her.
Oh, Kelly,
Okay.
go down. Go down to the corner where I'm pointing and you'll see a microphone. Can you hear us?
She hears us because she was nodding.
Okay, go to the corner of your screen and you'll see a red microphone. Click on that. The very corner, the left-hand corner.
It'll say mute if it's your mic's on, and it'll say
It'll have a line through it. I can see the line through hers. Her mic's off.
oh
It's
yeah, it is.
muted. Can you see that? The left-hand corner. Oh boy.
She can
Try it
hear us,
out.
so
You
that's
try it.
what's most important. I'm always careful. I never know what I try. I'm
Let me write it. Let me type.
careful not to overwhelm her.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry then.
No.
I'm
Don't
just
be
trying to
silly.
help.
Just I always figure, never know what somebody knows or doesn't know about Zoom or
Right.
anything else
Right.
in
That's
life.
true.
Actually, we're I try and cut all stroke survivors a wide berth. Just seems to work out that way. Not a good idea to compare strokes. So let's just leave it at that. Um, so Trish, you're nodding your head a lot about all this dietary stuff. What kind of diet are you? What kind of plan are you on?
I try to stay away from anything man-made, I guess basically you'd say. But I like plant and organic and, natural food.
Is that something you've been doing for a long time, or has your stroke precipitated a greater transition?
No, it's something I've done for a while, for a pretty long time actually. But I did a lot of meditation. I went to Cambodia for a month to do meditation, like real Indian Hindu meditation. And they are big into plant-based and no meat and are very vegan.
Well, I think that most people who are spiritually aware um, understand there's some connection between the mind and the body health and mind health. Do you know?
I just think like all that stuff, that processed stuff, there's stuff it's not natural. You're not supposed to have that stuff. I mean, I believe in plant-based, pretty much.
I go
Because all that
shopping.
man-made, yeah, all that man-made stuff is just crap, I think. But
It is. I have a simple rule: if I can't pronounce it, I don't eat it. And I look for things. Just was really discouraged now. They're putting monosodium glutamate back in everything. I love Cheez-Its. I was eating Cheez-Its in the afternoon as a snack, and I looked and I saw they got MSG on them. So I went to look for some other things, and Cheetos have them. Everything, every snack you can think of. The potato chips have them if they're flavored at all. They're putting MSG back in it. I don't get it. But my grocery cart, they have trouble packing me up because it's nothing. I don't buy a lot of the packaged and processed foods. But I buy a lot of produce, and I don't get my cheese there, so because I get it at Costco. But they have trouble bagging me up because it doesn't look like the regular thing. I also try and eat whole grains, whole
yeah,
wheat and whole grains like you do, probably, Trish. Also, some of the supermarkets are starting, Walmart and Kroger particularly. Got to be careful here. Harris Teeter's more regional. Anyhow, some of the grocery stores are now starting to carry more organic foods. They sometimes have an organic section, or they just mix them in. I think that
Yeah.
when they're in the organic section, they're still a little special and they price them as such. When they kind of mix them in next to the regular stuff, they kind of seem more reasonably priced. They're like they're mainstreaming them more. I think we're going to see more and more of that. It's not just my generation, which is definitely a driving force, but people are starting to wake up to the fact that you can't just put any old crap in your body. Well, you can put any old crap in your body, but there's possible consequences. So, um, what about you, Lauren? Think you're because you're co-host, I can't pick on you, huh? No. I'm picking everybody.
Well, I can definitely say that I'm a big believer in the value of plant-based and natural foods. The flax comment earlier, great source of nutrition and great way to get protein. Uh, I I've started making smoothies where I put a ton of good stuff in them, and I find that's a really easy way to get a lot of good nutrients, particularly if you're eating something that's like more carb forward or something else like at another time in the day. Then that's just like a good way to ensure that you can get the protein and the vegetables and stuff that you need. So that's kind of my 2 cents. But it's really interesting to hear everybody's different take on this. And it sounds like everybody out there is really, really healthy, doing the right things.
By the way, you can put kale in a smoothie and you can't taste it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, really. I'm not a big kale fan. It's good for you, but
Either.
um, I, it's a green, so I just buy spinach because I prefer spinach. But the other thing is, people out there with a bad diet who are listening to this, the first thing to do is just try and transition to something more normal. I think people get really overwhelmed when we all bring out, flaxseed, pumpkin seed, smoothies, plant-based, what am I going to eat? They start worrying, what am I going to eat? I can't eat cheese. I can't eat meat. What's left? So, um, I think the first thing for anybody to do who doesn't feel like they're eating right would be to look at processed foods and try and eliminate them. Also, when you look at processed foods, you might look at sodium content. Um, a lot of people get too much sodium. There's some people who say you shouldn't have much sodium after a stroke. I didn't put salt on anything for about a year and I was going crazy. I use something called Spike. It's like Mrs. Dash. Actually, Mrs. Dash doesn't have any salt in it. Spike is about 1/3 salt. It's citrus and herbs and things. So you put about the same amount on, and it gives your food a lot of flavor, but it only has 1/3 or 1/4 of the actual salt. But if you're concerned about salt, you should look at it like a can of black beans. Okay, you can buy like Full Circle's a brand that makes organic black beans, and their black beans have got about 80 milligrams of salt in a whole can. Actually, a can's 2 servings, so in a 1 cup serving. I've seen cans of black beans that have 1,000 milligrams of salt per serving, 12 times as much. So if you're concerned about salt, that's one place to start. Another place to start would be to try and spend more time in the produce section and less time in the canned section. I don't eat much out of cans. Beans, some soup in the winter. I prefer to make my own soup.
They say you should shop around the grocery store, not in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Like around the outside of the grocery store, because that's where the produce and the dairy and the
That's what
middle is
I did.
where all the
That's it.
junk is.
And I hit the produce and I go down the whole dairy thing, and then I cut across the back through the bread section to the milk and eggs, and then I do pick up like some Kashi organic cereal, but I don't go in most of those aisles. You're right, I don't.
That's good.
Yeah, if I need pasta, people tell me I eat too many carbs. I eat too much dairy. I eat cheese. I don't know. I'm healthy. It seems to be working for me. I'm back to the all things in moderation, although he dropped out. Um, can't get in trouble if you do things in moderation. So try and stay out of the middle of the grocery store, eh, Trish?
Yeah.
And, and I'm going to say it one more time. No one can make the leap from, meat and potatoes and no vegetables to a plant-based diet and, in a short period of time. It's just not going to happen. Here's what happens with me with things that aren't going to happen. If you set too big of a goal, you fail at it and then you give up on it. So that's why I'm suggesting, just like in stroke recovery, I encourage people to break a task down, do the parts of a task, get good at the parts, and then put it together. Same here. Just
I think
try
it
and
depends
move a
on.
little bit away from look at the oils you're using. Oil makes a big difference. Most people use lots of hydrogenated oils. So oils and salt and spending more time in the produce, maybe a little less meat, maybe a little more fish. That's my advice, and take it in steps. You only get there when we only get there when we take small steps towards something. If the goal is too big, it's like a giant step. You can't get up it. So that's my advice.
I think sometimes it depends on what your circumstances are. After I had my hemorrhagic stroke, 12 hours later, I also had a heart attack. So I was quite lucky to survive both of those. And so that frightened me into changing my diet to a plant-based diet. So I did it more or less overnight. Yeah, so
Well, you also had a wake-up call.
I did, yeah.
So most of the people we're talking about are stroke survivors, and they've survived the stroke. And I find, I guess I just have to say this. A lot of people go back to or continue their old bad habits. We were talking about smoking recently. Somebody said, is it bad to take up smoking again after you had a stroke? And I'm thinking, you were in a hospital, for some number of days, you quit. Why would you ever pick it up? So, I mean, I had a stroke survivor who insisted on smoking. She had her stroke because both of her carotid arteries were 100% blocked due to smoking. I mean, I took her to her neurologist and she denied it in front of her neurologist, who turned to me and said, she's a professional level smoker, and I'm here to tell you that's what caused her stroke. And I had a physical therapist who'd work with her for free, a retired guy, and he told her that smoking not only is bad for your health, but it blocks neuroplasticity. I don't know how. He explained slightly how it would. And he basically said, unless you're willing to quit, I won't work with you. And she wouldn't quit, and he didn't. He was good to his word, and it was a big loss for her. So I don't understand why people go back to their bad habits. I'm not here to stand in judgment, because I've certainly had my problems with both drugs and alcohol. But a lot of people had strokes due to drug and alcohol abuse, or both. And I'm not sure everybody's out there in all these groups is clean. I don't understand. You know, Chris, maybe you were lucky because your heart attack didn't kill you, and it slapped you hard enough to make you change, didn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
So, I guess when we're young, we think we're invincible, we're bulletproof, and so maybe I guess some of these folks I see are younger. I'm older. God, I hate to have to say that, but it's true. So I think, and Chris, you're my age, so I think that sometimes somebody told me something once, and does not have to do with politics. And they said, "Do you know what the definition of a conservative is?" And I said, "No." And they said, "Somebody with something to conserve." I thought about that. As we get older, we realize what we have and that it needs protecting. And I just don't understand why people continue bad habits ever, let alone after a stroke. But that's what makes the world go round.
Mm.
We're all different. And my new saying for this month is, Laura, and you've probably heard this, people are messy. They don't do what you want. They don't do what they want. I mean, I know I've sat there saying, I need to be doing this, and I'm not. I know it's not easy. After my stroke, my brain told me I didn't need to drink. It would like whisper to me. And no, I wasn't hearing little voices in my head. I told it to somebody and they actually thought I was hearing little voices in my head like I was a nutcase. But, I don't get thirsty, and my brain would say, oh, you don't need to drink. You don't need to drink. It took me 5 years to go from drinking 32 ounces to 96 that I drink today. And I had to force myself all the way. So, some of these things are built into us too. And I don't know would love to talk to somebody about that. I don't know who you would talk to about that. I had my brain telling me a couple other things that I didn't need to do. Where did that come from? I don't have cognitive issues, so I don't know. It's something I'd love to know the answer to, but I don't know who to talk to about it.
Well, they say that the your gut flora does give signals out, and therefore people if they got the wrong gut flora can become obese because it's given the wrong signals to the brain.
Right. There's a huge connection between your gut and your brain that they're just now getting
discovering.
to. Your gut is responsible for your brain producing and releasing serotonin. Most, which is something that you do when you are at ease, at peace. And most antidepressants are SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. So, I mean, this is how antidepressants work. So, I got over my depression, and I thought my gut genome was in pretty good shape. And I have a friend who studies this, and she recommended a probiotic that I'm taking now, and I noticed a difference. As good as I thought my system was, it made it slightly better, and I definitely noticed that I was kind of more even keeled. And I don't know if that's totally due to the probiotic or me trying to get some of the turmoil out of my life as well, or a combination of the two. But there's more, like you're saying, Chris, there's more to this gut genome and the brain and potential well-being, happiness, lack of depression. Can you trade in your antidepressant for probiotic? I wouldn't recommend it right away. You know, take them both and see what happens. Um, but there is a connection.
What kind of probiotic do you take? Just
I will message you a picture of the label.
okay.
I'm a little hesitant. I don't remember it.
Okay.
And I'm a little hesitant here to give specific products because I don't endorse anything. And
Oh, okay.
and I think it's important for me to, like with the pegboards, when I have a video on pegboards, and I like this one pegboard, and you can get it from Amazon. But there's people who don't like Amazon, don't want to buy there, so I post an Amazon and a non-Amazon link with my thing saying I'm not affiliated with either. You remember, I'm the guy that has to ban the T-shirt sellers, the people that haven't had strokes that are, it's the same post every time. Look at my new T-shirt I got today. And they don't ever say in the post where they got it. It's the first comment. I got it here. It's the same post. And they use, so I'm the guy that's saying you can't do that. So don't, I don't do that myself.
Okay.
It came from a friend of mine who got a degree in psychology, and then now she's getting a master's degree in nutrition, particularly studying this thing between the gut genome and the brain. So, like I said, I might have gotten the turmoil out of my life, but I'm also I'm feeling more even keeled. So, it's a good one. It doesn't cost any more than other ones. I'll shoot you a picture
Okay.
of the label. I got it on Amazon.
Okay.
I'm not interrupting. Oh, sorry. I hope I'm not interrupting, but I'm going back to sleep. I have something I have to, two things I have to do in just a little while. And I've been up since 4 a.m. California time. So I have to go back to sleep. So I want to say thank you and aloha to everyone in the group. And I'll see you in a week, right? It's every Tuesday. I will see you
Every
next
Tuesday.
week. Thank you so much. And thank you
problem.
especially, Ralph. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Okay.
Ralph, can you send me the probiotic picture too?
Winnie, okay, so, yeah, Winnie, can you shoot me a message on Messenger so that, and just say, give me the probiotic? I don't think we were talking on Messenger, and if I have a current message from you, it'll remind me to do it.
Okay.
I hate to be like that, but I've got like, oh, I don't know. I was talking to my daughter before this call, and I had like 8 messages and 3 or 4 things on the posts about this meeting. I didn't even get a chance to answer them all. I know I'm not important, but I got a lot of people chasing me around sometimes. Because I do follow up on everything. You'll find that I will send you both the picture of that. I do that, don't I, Lauren? And short answers are overrated. Lauren asks me questions sometimes, and I apologize because I like give her these like big long answers. But there are no simple, short, sweet answers to complex questions. So, but if somebody sends me a message, I correspond with them. If they send it back to me again, I do it again. As far as I'm concerned, anybody sends me a message and I haven't replied to it, it's just because I haven't gotten to it yet. Almost everything in my messenger ends with me. Because if you write back again, I'll write you back again. I don't know why. I don't think about it. I just do it. So, Wendy, if you'd I'll try and remember, but if you send me a message, it will help.
All right. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so I don't know if we covered diet or not. Um, I guess I kind of feel like this is the Ralph show. Do we want to hear Ralph talk about shoulders now? Or does anybody got anything better to talk about? Or anybody else rehab their shoulder? Did you have to, Chris?
No, I mean, I could always use sort of. I still have I have technically a frozen shoulder
Ah,
because I can only get my arm about this high, but and whatever I try and do to it, it doesn't seem to go any further. Have you got any techniques? Or
yeah, actually, do you have anybody that could help you, or you're married, or have a significant other, or
yeah,
friend?
I'm married. Yeah.
Okay. One thing I found is shoulders get stuck at about level. Mine was
Mm.
stuck at about level. It's really hard to get it up above there. Trish, is that where yours is stuck?
Pretty much, kind of. I get it up that far.
Yeah, but what are you doing? How are you getting it up that far? You're rotating your core and you're hiking your
Well,
shoulder up. I mean, and I'm not picking on you because we all do this. In order to,
right.
like, I hurt my shoulder painting, so now when I get my vitamins down, I find I'm going up on my tiptoes, so I don't have to lift my shoulder as much. It's something we all do. So, you know,
Yeah.
when it won't go any higher, then you hunch your shoulder and then you lean over, and
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of lean,
okay,
but
well,
I
here's the technique. I fool around, Chris. You know this, so I'm fooling around with the stroke survivor, and so I said, lift your arm as high as you can. He got it to just under here, half, and I said, okay. I always want to know where the pain zone is, so I started lifting his shoulder really carefully. When I do that, I look into somebody right into their eyes. Why do I do that? Because the eyes don't lie. They'll tell you, no, that doesn't hurt. And they're going with their eyes. People are, especially men, sometimes are stoic about pain. I don't. So I look in their eyes and I raise it a little more, a little more. No, it's not hurting, not hurting, not hurting. So I said, wonder what happens if I let go. Okay, so I had it up about here instead of here. It started here and I raised it to about here. Wrong way. Um, and so I let go. And what happened? It went to about here. It dropped about halfway. Now he's holding it here. Okay? He could only lift it to here. He's holding it here. So what do? I put it back up not only to here, but I take it a little higher. And it drops down. I let go. It drops down again. But now it's like a notch and a half up. The law of diminishing returns goes into effect pretty quick here. In other words, if I lifted it, way, way up, it's going to drop back down. There's only so much you can do. But I actually use that technique with him where I've spent, the local people that I work with, I actually go to their houses. Why do I do that? Well, first of all, it doesn't hurt me at all to go to their houses and do physical therapy with them. I stand at the counter and I do high stepping. Do I need to do high stepping? No, probably not. Does it hurt me? Absolutely not. If I stand there, if I show up at your house and I stand next to you in high step, guess what? You're going to do it. If I tell you to do it and I come back next week, most people haven't done it. So I actually started this going to people's homes to, well, I guess I got asked to with Kelly, and that got me in a mindset. But I also found that if I showed up twice a week, that I knew that they were getting physical therapy twice a week. And in a lot of cases, I would also take them to a physical therapist twice a week. And some of what we did in our sessions was homework from the physical therapist. But getting back to Chris, so I did this over a period of time, and his arm would drop down and just keep having him hold it up. Well, eventually he got to where he could raise it, higher. So it worked.
Oh.
One other thing, let me see if I can demonstrate this. Oh, I've got on my painter's pants. That might be a joy to see. I just put on a Zoom shirt. So let me see if I can demonstrate this to you, Chris. So one thing is you can take your affected arm. Mine's all postured now because I'm trying to get it up. You draw circles. Basically, if you point your index finger and you try and draw it in a circle, that's really good for all the muscles, and you can go both ways. I've got a video on it on my YouTube channel called, oddly enough, Circles. And
Oh,
I don't know how I found out about them. I broke my shoulder in a triathlon accident 25 years ago, and that's when I first started doing them. I don't think anybody told me. I hurt my shoulder painting my house and went to the doctor recently, and he said, let's see what you can do. And I told him I knew a little bit about physical therapy, and I'd done stuff staying out of the pain zone, including circles. And he went, oh, circles. So it's apparently some kind of an approved exercise. Someone told me it uses basically every muscle in your shoulder because you're drawing a circle. And by the way, if you try it, mine were triangles in the beginning, and then I got to squares, and then I got to hexagons or something, and then I got to circles eventually. They won't be smooth and pretty in the beginning. And so that's something. I also did the old dowel trick, which is where uh, you put the
was
dowel in
helpful.
your affected hand and you can push up with your other hand.
Yeah.
I'm real hesitant to recommend that because guys will get into the pain zone. Women are smarter than men, by the way, and I just went on record saying that. Um,
Hmm.
and I'll go on record saying I wish that we had more women running the various countries in the world. Look what happened with the countries that were being run by women in COVID. Anyway, that's way off topic. But women are smarter than men, and they'll respect their bodies more. So I'm always hesitant to do that because if you have a frozen shoulder or a subluxed shoulder or whatever, and I did, you have to be real careful. They made me stop all kinds of stuff that I wanted to be doing. Um, Basically, pulling on bands crosswise gets rid of the shake. I can get rid of my shake, but I have some shake and I wanted to get rid of it. And they told me I had to stop that, and I wasn't happy about that, of course. So I'm hesitant to tell
I'll
people.
look up your video.
Yeah, I have everything on my channel says like stroke. Everything with stroke begins with stroke, comma. Then it'll say shoulder. Then it'll say walking better, or it'll say stroke, comma motivational, or stroke, comma core, or walking better core. Everything's pretty clear. So you're just looking for stroke, comma shoulder. And they got circles and dowel. And the other thing I did was symmetry. I did a lot with, but of course you have to be able to move it in order to do the symmetry one. And my symmetry didn't look like it does now. See, one of the things is I didn't shoot anything until I was 13 years out, till I was about 8 years out. I didn't shoot any video of myself. I have nothing from those early days except my memory. So when I go back to shoot a video on symmetry, I kind of remember what I did and I kind of try and fake it. But I got better. So you ought to see the thing I did where I faked falling back into the wheelchair. I should post it someday. It would get an Academy Award for worst acting. I was trying to show people how you can put your wheelchair behind you and have a grab bar at the counter, lock off your wheelchair, stand up. If anything happens, you can just kind of sit or fall back into your wheelchair, and was trying to fake that. And one of the few things I did multiple takes on because I kind of wanted it to look real. Normally when I'm shooting video and I screw up, I just leave it right in there because I think it's important that people see that I'm not perfect, and I think it's important that people see I'm actually am a stroke survivor. because I think that when I first started this, I thought about, getting an actor or something because I wanted to stay behind the camera. And I said, no, that'd just be wrong. And they wouldn't know how to do it. How can you fake having a stroke? So I reluctantly pointed the camera at myself, but I have nothing from the early years. So I don't have this video of me doing circles when they were triangles, but they were ugly in the beginning, Chris. Really ugly. When I tell people that, they'd say, well, how many did you do? I'd say, well, I'd do 100 in each direction. 100 clockwise, 100 counterclockwise. Did I do that from day one? No, probably built up to it. Then they go, well, I can do that. And I'd say, well, I did them every hour on the hour 10 times a day, 2,000. And I get the big eyeballs look. And I did do 2,000 of them for about a year, a day. If I had doctor's appointments, I didn't go at it 10 hours a day. Or if I had things I had to do. But other than that, I was doing physical therapy. I had a crazy way of doing it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to other people. I pushed through the whole nap thing. I never taken a nap since my stroke. I took one about 2 weeks ago due to exhaustion, but I never took one. I saw a lot of people sleeping their life away, I thought. I had a misguided idea. I didn't understand that the brain needs sleep for healing. I was getting plenty of sleep at night. A lot of stroke survivors have legs that keep them up, or spasticity issues or something, and they're not sleeping good. So if you're not sleeping good, you're much more likely to need naps. Also, I have no idea what somebody else's stroke was like. I only had mine, and it was no fun. But it was, maybe I didn't get the whole tired thing on the level that somebody else did. I don't know. Maybe my attitude about it being different made me experience it different, and I did have that. So I went at it like 50 minutes every hour, and I would lay down. Someone told me that your brain continues to make connections for some period of time after you stop exercising and doing neuroplasticity. So I would lay down like a mummy with my hands on my lap and my head on the pillow, my feet together, and I would just rest. And I told my wife, if I ever go to sleep, wake me up. I never did. But that was a reaction to the rehab hospital where I saw people sleeping their life away, in my opinion, and not going to rehab, thinking that when they got home, somebody was going to wheel them through the front door and they were going to magically be better. I saw them both as delusional thinking, and I'm a rather intense and rational, organized type of person, so I saw that as something to avoid. So I pushed right through. I had video shoots. I didn't book a lot of stuff, but I'm a video producer. I had a few things booked. I was doing a freebie for Zonta on human trafficking. It was an all-day seminar. I couldn't stand up very long. I couldn't wait there very long. So I told him, I'll do it. But I'm going to put a chair there. I might have to sit down. Well, I went and did it, and I sat down about 2 or 3 times during an 8-hour day for 5 minutes at a time. I use this as an opportunity to do a lot of weight bearing. A whole lot of weight bearing. So I just kept showing up and giving it a try. Not everybody's capable of that. And people may have had strokes that would prevent them from doing that. So I'm not proposing that, and I certainly would not stand in judgment of anybody that has to take naps, because I see it all the time. I see, people saying that they do something for an hour and they got a nap for 2 hours. They get up, do something for an hour, they got a nap again. So it's very real. I'm not discounting it. Just So let's see, what else do I know about shoulders?
Ralph, what did you do for sublux shoulder?
What did I do? Well, I did a lot of shoulder shrugs. I did shoulder rolls in both directions because they told me to. Um, but mainly I did the thing with the circles, and I did abducting. I kept trying to raise it in various ways. And, eventually I got to, they say full extension with your hand, this is all backwards, is making a gun. So eventually I got to where I could make a gun and stick it straight up over my head all the way. But it took me 15 months, and I worked on it a couple hours a day, especially after I was walking pretty good. I'd just get in my walking. In the beginning, I'd walk 10 times a day because I could only walk a couple of laps around my driveway. So it was important to do it over and over and over again. Once I could walk 2 or 3 miles, I'd go for a walk on the greenway or something, go butterflying. I'd try and combine it with something else I like to do, like be outside or look for butterflies or something, so it didn't seem all like therapy. I got real tired of therapy. In fact, I flat out quit at 15 months. I said to everybody, I am tired of pulling on rubber bands. And I was doing more than pulling on rubber bands, but that kind of summed it all up to me. And I pretty much stopped for a few years. I do basic maintenance stuff these days. Part of that's because now 71, not 58. So, you have no idea what effect age has an effect on you as well. So I do some maintenance stuff, but at that point, after 15 months of 10, 12 hours a day, I was sick of it. And what I did was I tried to integrate it into my life by doing things like taking the juice out of the refrigerator, opening and closing the refrigerator door with my left hand. I never did any of that before my stroke. Opening jars left-handed, so I could get that twisting motion down. And that twisting motion was real important to me because I took my cameras. I'm a still photographer and videographer. What do you do with a video camera? You zoom with these fingers and you focus and change the iris with this hand by rotating it around the lens. So I actually took my camera to physical occupational therapy while I was still in the rehab hospital and said, this is what I need to do. Give me the exercises. And I did them. So, shoulder shrugs. Okay, also pinning them back and forward is good. I did the circles. I did abducting. I did symmetry. I don't know, Winnie. I'm kind of out of tricks here. There's bunches of stuff you can do. I'm sure I could find some for you. I bet Orlando Neuro, Dr. Tara Tobias has got some good ones on shoulders. She's got some good ones on drop foot.
That's true, yeah. The trick I tried was to lay my back on the ground on the floor, and sort of let gravity help me out. But
That's what I do too. I lay on. Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you have no
I still only go so far back. Yeah.
Okay, the circle is an active version of something called a pendulum. Okay, when you can't move at all, you let that arm hang and you move your body and it will swing. It's sort of the same thing as lying on your back. One thing that I've done with people, I used to take, I used to take people because it was a COVID pandemic. I haven't had anybody in pool therapy in a year. But I used to take people I thought of the pool as strictly a place where you walked. And I had a guy say something about, wanting to try something with his arm. So we tried some stuff with his arm. And because of the buoyancy, it doesn't weigh as much. And he was able to move his arm in the pool in a way he couldn't move his arm on the land. And so we built that. I was taking him to walk. But what we did was 5 or 10 minutes of arm stuff every time we were in the pool, and it started to translate to the land. Not everybody's got access to a therapy pool. I mean, they're few and far between. Here, we happen to have a hospital system that owns a gym, and they have one because they have Next Step physical therapy right next to it. They have a back door into the pool and a changing room for so they use it as part of their physical therapy stuff as associated with the hospital. And I joined there after I got two stroke survivors what they call pool scholarships. They let them use it for free because they couldn't afford it, and they let me go in there for free. But when I wanted to take people who weren't members, I needed to be a member myself, and it's slightly more pricey than Planet Fitness, but I had access to a therapy pool, and I could take people who weren't members to the therapy pool because I had guest passes. And then I found when my guest passes ran out, it was interesting because I had somebody in the therapy pool, and they said, "Well, he said he wasn't a member. How'd you get in here?" I said, "Oh, well, he used one of my guest passes. I got a few more left, and then we'll figure it out." Well, the two ladies we were talking to both went to the front desk and gave Henry 4 guest passes each out of theirs. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And they were pretty supportive of me, letting me. I mean, I can't believe I wasn't a member, and they gave somebody a pool scholarship, and then they let me get in the pool with them. So I did pay a guest fee for a while, and then somebody said, "No, you're helping them. You don't need to pay that." I said, "Okay, I won't pay it." So I have some allegiance to them because I helped, because they treated me fairly, and I helped. I took about 6 people there. So, they help me help people. So I have some allegiance to them. So I don't know, shoulders are tough because you can hurt a frozen or subluxed shoulder if you work on it too hard. If you move into that pain zone. Winnie, are you familiar with my YouTube channel?
Yes, I am.
Have a look at the dowel one. I think you might be a good candidate for the dowel thing because first of all you're female, and from the times you've been here you seem reasonable, like you'd be smart enough to stay out of the pain zone. I mentioned it, by the way, at least 4 times during that video because I'm very self-conscious about not having anybody get hurt. So
I'll look at it.
okay. Well, I don't know. Anybody got any other topics they want to talk about?
Well, maybe one for next week. Weight bearing, the benefits of it.
Yeah. I saw that one. I didn't mention it today. I didn't write it down. What I need to do is, this is new to me, and I'm working on my house, and with what I'm doing around here and what I'm doing with stroke, I'm a bit overwhelmed at the moment. In the next couple of weeks, I'll be finishing my house, and I'll be glad to get back to not feeling so overwhelmed because
Yeah, I noticed on some of your videos, you're quite a fan of weight bearing yourself. Stand on one leg, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, somebody told me early on that weight bearing both on your leg and on your shoulder send signals to your brain that you want to use them. And I don't remember who told me that. It was some type of physical therapist or neurologist or whatever. I filed it away in with the. This was told to me by somebody who knew what they were talking about. This is important category. And I do. I do one-legged. I do affected leg heel raises. I do affected leg knee bends. I wouldn't call them deep, but And by the way, if anybody thinks that doing heel raises or knee bends that their affected leg is doing 50%, it's 50-50 proposition. I got news for you. Just try one heel raise on your affected leg only, or one knee bend on your affected leg only, and you'll realize rather quickly that your strong leg is still doing 80% or more. That's one reason, Chris, when I discovered that, like I said, see, I noodle around. I can't stop my damn brain. It's maybe a good thing because, especially when I apply it to stroke, because, I do stuff like, well, what if I tried this? Or what if I did that? Or, so once I realized this, I built it into my routine, and I kind of built it into what I profess to other people because I know it's good. It's good also on your shoulder. I've got it in there. Yeah, I've got one on shoulder. I did it from the get-go. I used to go out on my deck and I'd put my hands on the railing. And I'd lean into that shoulder, or I'd take my other arm up and just bear weight on that one shoulder. Some reason it tells your brain you want to use it.
Mm.
And I think those are good signals, because if your brain is getting the signal it wants to use it, then it's going to start thinking about making connections. That's my thinking.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just applying flowchart logic to something that isn't logical, but I bet it is.
Well, I'm also keen on reducing spasticity as well. So that's a signal thing, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. Again, see, I can talk pretty extensively based on my experience, and I found that as I got better at range of motion things, in other words, as I got to where I could put my hand over my head and do deep knee bends and things, that as I was able to strongly move through the range of motion was when my spasticity would start to go away. And stretching also. I take, I'm kind of between chair and adaptive yoga at this point. I don't need the chair. I kind of adapt. I'll kind of take a standing yoga class and adapt the things I can't do. I didn't used to be able to get into warrior at all because I was scared of balance. My balance hasn't improved. You know what happened? I tried it a few times in the chair, and then I said, this is stupid. I can do this on the, standing up. And I stood up and did it perfectly without thinking about it and got rid of the fear. I've had a lot of breakthroughs where I have managed to not think about it, because I think fear holds us back. Something I've been studying for at least 5 years. I don't know. I have some conclusions on it. The jury's out in terms of how to use it. But I've noticed that sometimes when I forget I can't do something, I have a breakthrough. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Like I got on my bicycle and I used to push, I put my left foot, my affected leg on the pedal when I was a kid, and push with my right foot and then throw my right foot over the seat. We all did it when we were kids, right?
Yep.
I get back on the bike by pulling the bike up between my legs and feeling real funny about everything. And I'm going, no, I'm going to hold on to this fence here, get both feet on the pedals, and then go. So I was scared to do it for a long time. Well, I was riding in a North Carolina Cycle for Life bike event, I raised $1,700, I think, for them by being a letter writer and getting people to contribute. And about halfway through the thing, my chain came off. So I put my chain back on and was up just the slightest hill. And I said, boy, I better get going here. So I put my left foot on the pedal and paddled with my right foot and threw my leg over and went, holy cow, I forgot to be scared of that. And, it gave me the confidence to, when I got home, I intentionally tried it again. And you know what? The fear came back. It was like getting back up on that horse after you've fallen off. I did it in my backyard rather than the parking lot, so I'd fall over on the grass if I fell over, but I didn't fall over. But I went right back to the whole same fear thing. My thinking about fear at this point is that you have to spend enough time in a no-fear zone to be able to forget about your fear. In other words, I'm walking a guy I transitioned him from a walker to a quad cane. Now we're trying to go from a quad cane to nothing. And I was talking to him. I said, you can do this. I've seen you in the backyard walking without your cane. It's 90% fear. And he turned to me. I had him on a gait belt. So when he turned to me, our noses were about this far apart. And he said, try 100%. So I think the thing to do is, the more I can keep him on a gait belt without his cane and where he's not afraid, the more I'm helping him pattern his brain not to be afraid. In fact, I took a Rollator and I added 50 pounds of sandbags to it, and I took it up to him so he could practice without me, so he could spend more time without the cane and without the fear. Jury's still out on that one.
Yeah.
It takes a little while. He's somebody that understands that. I've got other people that, send me videos once a week that look the same as the one the week before. It takes a little while for some of these things to click in and make changes, particularly fear. I'm 13 years out and I still do this weird crap from fear. Like I said, I'm fixing up my house. I just had to paint all the interior moldings where my fingers I don't need to touch the molding when I go through a door, but I've been doing it, because my brain has this leftover fear. Well, I wore the paint off of all the door jambs in my house. I just went around recently and painted all the door jambs because I took a picture of them before so I could prove it. Actually, I was going to make a post like, anybody else's door jambs look like this? It was a way to, being a photographer, I'm a big believer that in posting a picture to get some dialogue going. So I would post a picture of a worn out door frame and say, anybody else's doors look like this? What could it be from? And, somebody would know and get a conversation going. I never ended up posting it, but, so there's a case where I did something for years and years and years. Now, when I go through doors, I hold my hands like this. I actually intentionally think about it sometimes,
Makes
like
sense.
don't touch. You don't need to touch. It was great. I saw a video and I commented on it. This woman walked through her kitchen and she was right side affected. So she kept her left side like hovering over the kitchen counters. I did a lot of hovering, like walking up down steps. I would grab on in the beginning and then I would slide my hand up the railing so my brain knew it was still there, and then I would hover and then I would put my hand down by my side. That's a big step, not having it close enough to grab on if you need to. So there's things that you can do to train yourself. And that's when I say I'm studying fear. What I'm trying to do is figure out how we can use simple techniques to overcome fear. So I'm not trained in anything. I'm not a physical therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a guy who had a stroke who tried to figure it out for himself and thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool if I could help other people figure it out? And so that's what I do. And to everybody out there listening, you can join us too. I post a link in Stroke Buddies every week. You can send me your email and I'll send you an email invite. I'll try and get better about all this. And would love to have more people, more questions, more topics, so that we can talk about things that are relevant to you.